Hello, I'm Daniel Audritt. I'm here with Erich McElroy at Edinburgh Fringe 2019. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
How's your Fringe been so far?
It's good. I'm enjoying myself this year. I actually like my show, which makes a massive difference because I have done shows that I did not like, and it is hard work.
About 3 days in, you start going, oh, I've got a long way to go with this.
Yeah, it definitely comes in waves. I mean, there are moments where, if at a base level you can enjoy your show every day, then sometimes the grind of being here can be that much more accessible and easier to deal with. Because otherwise, the audience ultimately in that moment, in that space, if they like it, that's a huge boost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, this isn't your first Fringe, then?
No, this is my 8th festival.
8th Fringe.
So 5th solo show? 6th? 5th or 6th show. I can't remember. I'm trying to forget one.
So there's one in particular. I feel like that's definitely one you like.
Yeah.
Well, we won't go too much.
No, we don't talk about that. It was on time.
What's been your funniest Fringe experience since you've been here?
There's so many things funny. It's often the things that happen outside of the comedy venue or the show that are the funniest. I think when my first Fringe was when my daughter was 6 months old, and I was flyering, and I had her in a little caboose thing, and I was giving out flyers, and another comedian named James Sherwood saw me, and he just looked across, and he's like, "Shameless," because you do whatever you can. I'm like, for the baby, come to the show, please. So I've always enjoyed that.
I don't know which comedian did this, but I heard a comedian once had his 8-year-old daughter out there, and she'd go up to strangers and say, "Have you seen my dad?" And then they said they panicked. She then would fly and say he's on it.
Genius, utter genius.
The best flyer in the
comedy award-winning level flyer, definitely. So
if the show's as funny as that stunt, then they just have every award going.
We all want that moment.
Yes, we all do that. So obviously you brought the show up to Fringe. How's it evolved since you've been here?
Well, I had a break last year, which was nice. I think it is sometimes. I've done about 4 in a row. And my shows tend to be fairly political. And the last few were all about explaining things that were happening politically in the US, kind of about Donald Trump. And so this year, it's a little bit of a step back, and that it is political, but it's more personal as well. So part of that's just the material that kind of developed over the year, but then part of it is also just how I've been able to apply that to a theme, which is being a centrist politician in this very, polarizing period. And then the stories did kind of gravitate towards that. So it kind of was a combination of having that political agenda, but also just some stories to tell that hopefully are good stand-up.
Here's a question about being a political comedian now. There's obviously so much to talk about. Yeah. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
It's overwhelming sometimes. That's why I've kind of gone more broad about my ideal of being centrist when everybody seems to be running to the fringes. Because talking about it day to day, the stuff that happens with Brexit or with Trump, because I'm British as well as being American, you could have a show about the politics of today and still be behind by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think people are like, it must be easy with Trump. It's impossible because he's almost beyond satire in some of the stuff that he does and says. So that's why I think I approached it a little bit differently this time.
Great, sounds good. So how did you kind of begin in comedy?
It was right after I moved to the UK. I started gigging part-time, and I still had a real job or normal job, whatever it's called these days.
A real job.
Yeah, it is a job. It's just a little less structured. And comedy was just everywhere in London, and I ended up in a gig, and this sounds terrible, but I saw someone, and I was like, well, I can be funnier than him. And that has
surprising how
mostly proven true. There have been moments where I've been like, oh yeah, this was a mistake. But, I'd always been drawn to performing, and I liked comedy because it's just so direct and visceral. There's no, it's just you and the audience. There's no fourth wall like there is in theater. It's just that conversation, and I'm trying to make you laugh, and that is really enjoyable.
Great. And what's been the biggest boost in your comedy career so far?
Donald Trump, in many ways. It's definitely, because it's interesting being here as sort of as an immigrant and talking a lot about identity issues and that kind of thing, but explaining that about Trump, and sometimes that's been helpful. That's why I voted for him. No, I didn't. He's an awful human being. But sometimes there are little breaks, and I think like every Edinburgh, you get a little bit of something out of it. There's always little things happening. Sometimes you don't even realize they're happening until they've happened. You're like, oh, well, that was something I didn't realize. So, yeah, it's going to be quite subtle sometimes. It'd be great if it was much bigger and more obvious. I keep waiting for the golden helicopter to take me off into TV land, but it's usually smaller steps than that.
And as you're building shows, how do you create your comedy?
I should sit down. I'm not very much a sit down and write for 4 hours kind of person, which probably should happen, but it seems like life and kids and school runs and dogs and things get in the way of that. So usually it sort of evolves with an idea, saying some of it out loud, restructuring that and rebuilding it, and then it definitely you don't know what's funny until you say it in front of people.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are, until you've gotten in front of that audience and said the words, that makes all the difference.
Every time I've gone on stage, certain that joke will work, it's never worked.
Nope,
Never
it's incredible. And that moment where it hangs, and you go, oh, okay, yep. And then often, right in that moment, you go, but you can't re-say it in that moment. It's gone until the next time. So, but yeah, it is definitely. I mean, I do try and write the script that shows out, but towards the end, that never happens.
Yeah. Everyone's got the best intentions at the beginning.
No.
In May, everyone has the best
Yeah,
intentions.
exactly. Because I get I have a lot of outlining where I know the context of the joke, and then so lots of structures, lots of outlines, and then just add in the bits and tweak them from there.
Great. And what's the plans for the future? With this show, in comedy in general, in life?
I mean, yeah, just keep on plugging away. I'll probably be a little bit more directly political next year because it'll be right before the presidential election and figuring out what to say. But there's so much that will happen between now and then that will guide what that show becomes, whether it's more, sometimes I've been just translating what's happening, the latest in America to a British audience. It kind of depends, but I mean, this next year is going to be all about getting into that and talking about it, and I'm very excited about the presidential race. It's like the Super Bowl and the World Series and everything combined because it's political. It's not sport because sport doesn't matter.
Great. I've been down with it. This has been Erich McElroy.
Cheers.